We're doing a Reddit reaction, so I have the Reddit. You don't know what this post is yet. The title of this one is My Girlfriend Told Me Her Ex is Better Than Me at Sex. How can I cope with this?
Oh, man. Welcome to the Pleasure Program. My name is Holly.
I'm Victoria.
We are two licensed therapists specializing in sex therapy, here to answer your questions and share our knowledge around all things related to a healthy and pleasurable sex life. We have a whole series where we react to Reddit posts and give our professional perspective.
We were having a nice conversation and all about our preferences and what we'll be doing the next time we see each other and such, when suddenly she kind of teased me by asking if she was better than my ex. I immediately said yes out of respect. I probably should have left it at that, but I was also curious what her thoughts or opinions were. So in turn, I asked the same question, hoping she'd also say it's me. As you guys might as well know by now, she said no, that her ex was better. That really destroyed my self-esteem and ego. I felt my heart shrink and collapse. She further explained that it's because he could make her orgasm faster and that she could ejaculate as a female with him. But she also explained that they were together longer and that to make me feel better, I can still improve and probably be better over time. That's rational, but I just can't shake this feeling of jealousy and inadequacy. Because of my insecurity, I basically interrogated her on what made him better, which I've mentioned above. From what she told me, they weren't that adventurous with their sex, some toys here and there, but nothing crazy. Compared to us, where we've literally had sex in bathrooms, dirty talk, biting, taking videos, and getting rough. There's a little bit more description with getting rough, but I'm going to pass on it for YouTube's sake. I just feel small and less, like I'm nothing. I don't know how to cope with this. We've done so much compared to her and her ex, and I'm still second place. I know, comparison is the thief of happiness, but what's done is done. I already compared myself to her ex, and I feel awful and worthless. I just want advice on how to cope and move on from that thought or reality. She was together with her ex for 7 years, and she has stated he wasn't as into sex as much as her. I've been with her for 2 years, but she's not into sex as much as me anymore, as per her age. There's an update to clarify some of this a little bit. So the update is she's taking it back and is now saying that he's better. He says, I'm better everything else except for when it comes to making her orgasm quickly and ejaculate, which her ex is still better at. And then the reason why she's being so blunt and honest is because she's lied to him before. A very big lie that they have moved on from, but he doesn't explain what that lie is. So in earning his trust back, she has to be completely honest with him. So, I thought he clarified her age by saying it as per her age, but I'm not seeing it now. So, all right. Where should we even begin with that? Ultimately, the question is how to cope and move on from this thought or reality.
Okay. Wow.
It's a lot.
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm also thinking of a similar Reddit post that we reacted to that we'll link below that kind of got a lot of reactions from our viewers on that one. There was a lot of, I think, even criticism of our feedback on that one. So if you're curious to check that one out, we'll link it below. My first thought was like, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. Like I think just in general, like asking questions where you're asking your partner to compare you to other people is a slippery slope, because you're also kind of setting each other up for just, I think, failure. I don't know if that's the right word, because if they say, oh, you're so much better than my ex, then like, are you thinking, well, you're just saying that to, would you be honest with me? Because that's such a vulnerable, sensitive thing to compare. And then if they're really honest, like, you can appreciate the honesty, but then it hurts. Like, it hurts deeply to think that something so intimate and vulnerable as sex with your partner, that someone did it better. You know, I just I think that's a really, really tough one. Like, if I'm putting myself in his shoes, it's like, ugh, I'm trying to think of like what would help me, there, because I also think I guess I'm glad that she defined what better even means, because that seems so performance oriented. Like, we're also having a conversation here about what does better mean. Better means faster to orgasm and female ejaculation. Why is that the measure of what's better? Because sex is so much more than that, and just because you can do something quickly doesn't mean it's better, in my opinion.
Right.
Just,
agreed.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe that was a jumbled mess.
No, that was good. That was one of the points that I wanted to get to, is that in general, for advice for general people, literally, I thought, don't ask questions you don't want to answer.
Did you think the same thing?
The exact same thing. I literally wrote it down in my notes of like, I want to cover that. You know, if you're feeling insecure about how you may measure up to past exes, ask about your partner's like current satisfaction in the relationship. Ask about what you could be doing better or differently, not in comparison, just in general, to help further your relationship, further your sex life, right? Like, don't ask comparative questions like that. We don't want people comparing at all.
It really doesn't help, actually. It doesn't do anything for you, except create insecurity and discomfort and just tension. And there's also like a little red flag here, like, oh, because of a past big lie, she now has to be brutally honest about everything. I'm like, oh, I got questions about that. Like, what's that about? So there's already some shaky ground here when it comes to trust and not always being honest. So there's some damage here. For sure. Okay. I'm like wondering.
So
go ahead.
You go. What were you saying?
I just wanted to like practice some empathy and try to imagine what could possibly help me if I was in his shoes.
I mean, I have some thoughts. At the end of the day, honestly, nothing, potentially nothing could help. I'll be straight up honest with that. Some people can't get over something like that. There was a lot of commenters on that Reddit post straight up telling him that he needed to leave the relationship. And you know what? Like, at the end of the day, it's his decision. That's an option. That is an option for him to leave the relationship.
You cannot move on. You cannot. I think that, honestly, I think that was maybe some valid feedback from some of the viewers on that video. Was that we were maybe missing the piece of like, you might not be able to move on from this, and like, that's okay, and it's for sure sucks and it's heartbreaking, but also you can decide if like damage has occurred that is irreparable in your eyes.
For sure. And then if you are really committed to this relationship and you're choosing to be in this relationship, we're not saying whether or not he should. Honestly, that's his choice at the end of the day. Either one is a viable option. He could stay or he could go. But there are some things that he could maybe think about to try to help to cope, to move on. One, I think, is considering couples therapy to help process kind of like a betrayal in terms of him really needing her to take accountability and responsibility for saying hurtful things, as well as having trust issues from a lie in the past, right? There's clearly some hurt still here from there, so they could consider that to help with like responsibility taking, which might help just a tiny bit. And then another thing is there is a reason, I would imagine, that she's not with this ex that she was with. There's a reason that she's with this individual, and like, I would love for him to look into himself of the things that he does like about himself, and the things that, you know, tell him that he's worthy of love, he's worthy of a quality sex life, of, you know, a respectful partner, all of these things to kind of challenge the insecurity that she may be helping develop, I guess. I don't know if that's a good way to say that, but and if they stay together, they need to have a conversation about how to give feedback appropriately. Zero comparison is needed when you're giving feedback to a partner. something as stupid as like, hey, my ex used to cook this chicken better. That's not necessary. You can literally be like, hey, can you throw some extra salt and pepper on this? Thanks. That's it. You could use that with literally anything in your relationship. You never have to compare with an ex.
Yeah, and I think there's something especially harmful about comparison when it comes to your sex life, because if you're in a monogamous, why am I doubting that word? If you're in a monogamous relationship, then your only outlet for sexual gratification and connection is with that person. So it's, it's not like, if you liked the way your ex cooked chicken better than your partner, like you learn to cook it better, or you go to a restaurant, or like there's other options, or if your partner's not the best with conversation, you can seek out great conversation with friends or family members or, colleagues. And I think that what hurts, especially in this situation, is that it was a comparison with their sex life, and assuming that they are,
sure,
in a monogamous relationship. I don't know why I keep doubting that word. It just that, ever say a word and it just sounds weird.
Oh yeah. All the time.
But assuming they're in a monogamous relationship, he has no, like, he's it. So if he's like, oh, her ex is better than me, I have to get better, or else I'm always going to be like second best to her ex. And like, nobody wants to feel that. Like, it's hard to feel really, I think, fulfilled and satisfied when you feel like you're falling short of someone else. You're in like someone else's shadow. And so I think that there would need to be a good amount of communication around this, and repair work, and like real honest communication around what where all the good stuff is, and why this is a good if it is a good relationship.
If it is, this is a really hurtful thing to say. Like, I will say that so that our viewers and our commenters don't come for us.
They think we're like not human or something. Like, if this happened to either one of us, it would be devastating.
I'll self-disclose, I would die.
Victoria!
If this happened to me, I would die. So, like, while I'm being
I know, while we're being clinical, we have our therapist hat on. Like, we're human beings here, and like, this would be super hard to bounce back from. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And some people can't. And that's okay. And some people are super forgiving, and they can bounce back from this, and they do value blunt, brutal honesty, and and that's okay. Good for them. Then I hope they find a good fit. That's awesome. But
you know what I think? Yeah. I think that I would like for our viewers just to give them maybe a piece of advice here. If your partner were to ever ask you this question, it's okay to say, you know what, I don't think that's a helpful conversation to have. Like, I really, like, can we just take comparison off the table? And especially if your honest response you think would be hurtful in some way, like, no one is going to hold a gun to your head and force you to have this conversation. I think you could be like, let's not do that. Let's not have, like, let's just talk about, our experience between the two of us, and make sure that we're feeling, good about our sex life.
And I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay to be like, where is this question coming from? Is there an insecurity that is happening that we need other clarification on? Like, are you worried that we don't have sex frequently enough, or something like that, that we have that directed conversation about, and not this like comparative conversation? Yeah. And all sex lives are going to look different, and different doesn't mean better, and different doesn't mean that it's a you issue either. Was one other thing I was thinking of like, just because there is something in a sex life or isn't something in a sex life, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your fault, right? Like, bodies have moods, bodies change. We've talked about bodies having moods and things like that, right? So just because your partner is unable to do something with you, that doesn't necessarily even mean that it's a fault of your own. It literally could be some sort of mood that their body is going through, or an issue with their own lack of mindfulness or insecurity with a newer partner or something like that. It could have nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm. And I just think that, like, every dynamic between two people is going to have its own unique dynamic, because you're two different people. So it almost doesn't even make sense to compare, because I know it's human nature. Like, let's be real. We compare ourselves to other people. We compare our partners to our exes and exes with exes, and like, it's human nature. But also, I think we have to have like a critical mind of like when we're doing that, because where was I going with that? Where did I start that thought?
That it doesn't even make sense to compare because everything's... Yeah.
Right. It's like, you know, if you had a dinner date with one friend and then a dinner date with another friend, like, they're going to have unique...
Holly, do you like your friends better than me?
It's like, well, like, why would I even compare? It's weird, right? Unless there was something really specific. Like, I don't know, every time Victoria takes a sip of her water, she makes a really loud gulping sound that's just a little distracting. Like, unless there was something glaringly weird or bizarre or like off-putting, like, there's just a different dynamic, and different dynamics provide different experiences and benefits and like flavors, so to speak. So I just think that even the language in general, like, I would love if we just all collectively did away with the language of who's better at sex.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even make sense to me. Everything that we know about sex and what makes a high quality sex life, that type of verbiage doesn't even belong there. Like, who's better and, you know, who's getting to orgasm faster? There's just already a problem. Like, I feel like this couple needs some education even around what is good quality sex, because it's not it's not those things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Wow.
Any final thoughts for this poor guy?
I think that he should pause and ask himself if this struggle after this conversation he had with his girlfriend, if this is in any way indicative of like a bigger picture issue, because it sounds like there's, you know, no relationship is perfect, but there's some other stuff. Like, I think if I was feeling really hurt, I might pause and be like, is this relationship working for me? Like, is it worth it for me to really work through this hurt because there's so many other wonderful things, or because I want to believe in the power of repair, because I want to believe my, you know, I think that I would just reflect on the relationship overall and ask myself if I want to see if I can move forward from this. And if the answer is like, oh no, maybe not really, like, it's okay. It's okay to leave a relationship simply because you want to.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I'm curious about our viewers' thoughts. What do you think? What would you tell him?
Yeah, let us know. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. What would you do if you were in his shoes? And really try to practice some empathy. It's easy for us to say, oh, leave her. But, you know, we get attached to people. People mean something to us in our lives. And it's not so easy. I know in the work that I've done with my clients, it's a big decision to end a relationship.
Oh, for sure.
And people usually really struggle with that and feel very conflicted about it. So leave us a comment and like something meaningful and you know, with some thought. Anyway. All right. Thanks for listening. If you made it to the end of this video, give us a thumbs up maybe if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't like it. And we will see you in the next one.
Or just ignore it.
Or you could simply ignore it. Your call. Your call.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.